Hello friends, welcome to PDF for Exams YouTube channel. Today is day 23. We are learning geography, and in this video we will be learning about physiography of India. So before starting the video, we need to know a few facts about a country. So let's see what are those facts. So first we'll see what is the extension of a country. So it is extended in longitude and latitude. In terms of latitude, if we see, the country is extended in 68 degree. Just a minute, let me take the pen. So in the western side, the longitude which goes through the western side is 68 degree 7 minutes, and the longitude which goes through the eastern side is 97 degree 25 minutes. So this is the longitude through which our India covered. Now there is a standard timeline which passes through Uttar Pradesh, and this time zone, this is 82 degree and a half minute east longitude. So this determines the standard time of a country. Talking about the physical boundary or the physical area, India is the largest country in its subcontinent. In Indian subcontinent, there are several countries like Pakistan, China, Afghanistan, Myanmar. So these among these, India is the largest country in terms of area. And if we talk about the hemisphere in which it lies, so as we know, our entire globe is divided into 4 hemispheres. That is the eastern hemisphere, western hemisphere, northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere. So our country India lies between the northern eastern hemisphere, somewhere at this place. So this is the hemisphere division of our country. Now there are certain more things that we need to know, like the topmost part of the country in northern zone. So over here, the northmost point of a country is Indira Col, and the southernmost part of a country is Indira Point, which lies somewhere in Andaman and Nicobar Island, which was submerged in 2004. In 2004, tsunami was there, and in that tsunami, this Indira Point, which is the lowest point in the southern zone, submerged during that time. So you can see over here, somewhere it is here. It was the southern point. Sorry, Indira Point. What else we need to know over here? So there are certain more facts which we'll see, and after that we'll move to the parts in which we have to study the other segments. So in the terms of area, if we compare with the world, India is the 7th largest country. What is the first largest country? So there is a sequence for the topmost country. So Russia, which is the largest country in terms of land. Then comes the Canada. Next is China. Then US, Brazil, Australia, and on 7th lies the country India. And if we talk about the boundaries with which countries India shares boundaries, so there are several countries with which India shares boundaries. Land boundaries and sea boundaries are shared by Indian Ocean. So in land boundary, India shares land boundary with Pakistan in west, Afghanistan in northeastern side. It shares its boundary with Nepal, China, Bhutan, and here it shares boundary with Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is the country with which India shares the largest land area, which is around 1600 kilometer. 1600 kilometer is the largest land area which is shared with Bangladesh. And we compare in sequence. That means after Bangladesh, China is the second largest country with which India shares the land boundary. After this comes Pakistan, then Nepal, Myanmar, Bhutan, and at last the minimum land boundary which shares with the country is Afghanistan. That is around 160 kilometers only. That means the distance over here, which when we see the distance at the top, so as you can see, Afghanistan border is somewhere here. So the distance which India shares with this country is almost around 160 kilometers. Okay. What are the other factors that we need to know? There are some more factors, like India divides in southernmost. If we move to the southern part of country over here, we can see Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is also a neighboring country of a country which is divided by a Palk Strait and Gulf of Mannar. These two, one Palk Strait and one Gulf of Mannar, divides India and Sri Lanka. Since there is a sea boundary between India and Sri Lanka, that's why water body and a strait will divide India and Sri Lanka. And there is an important latitude which passes through our country, that is Tropic of Cancer. So Tropic of Cancer, this can be asked in examination also. That means tell the countries or arrange the sequence of the country from east to west or west to east, which countries passes through Tropic of Cancer. So you just need to remember the map. If you remember the map, you can easily tell which countries passes through Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer is very significant latitude, as we have seen in last video. What are the latitudes present? So the longest latitude which is present is equator, that is lies at 0 degrees. After that there is Tropic of Cancer. At the southern part it is Tropic of Capricorn, and in northern polar it is North Pole and South Pole at the end. So in Tropic of Cancer, it passes through 8 countries. The first country is Gujarat, second would be Rajasthan, then Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Mizoram and Tripura. So these are the 8 states through which Tropic of Cancer passes through. Okay, so these were a few important facts which you need to know, and after that we'll start our main video in which we're dealing with our physiography of India. And before that, let's see some more facts which has been mentioned over here. So some more facts that we have already seen, that just a minute, its land boundary, that means the land boundary is 15,200 kilometers. So this is land boundary with it shares with the all other country, and 6,100 is the coastline. What is coastline? So when we see the map over here, you can see India is covered with sea from 3 sides. Okay, just a minute, let's see the map entirely. So here it's clear that on the western side, or the southern western side, it is passes through Arabian Sea, and in the southern eastern side it passes through Bay of Bengal, that is an Indian Ocean. So the land area which is connected to sea is called the coastal region. So the distance between so if you want to consider the distance of coastal region, or the area or the length which the coastal area covers, is around 6,100 kilometers. This is just the area of the length of the coastal line in India. We too have few islands like Andaman and Nicobar Island and Lakshadweep Island. So we add up both these Andaman and Nicobar Island along with these coastal line. The sum of these coastal area length would be 7,500 kilometers. So this is the coastal area length which is shared by India, and whereas the land boundary which is shared by India with other country is 15,200 kilometers. So this is all the facts. What are more? So these are almost all the facts that we have covered. Now let's see what are the topics of today's video. So in this video, our India is divided into 6 main physiographies or topographies, we can say. So the first topography is northern mountain, next second is northern plain, the other is northern plateau, peninsular plateau, then Indian desert, coastline and the island at the end. So we will be discussing these 6 in details and covering what are the important factors or segments of mountains or rivers flowing through these segments and how these parts were formed. So starting with the northern mountain. So by the name itself it is clear, northern mountain means the mountain which are lying in northern part of the country. So where there is a northern part of the country, so as we know, this is the northernmost part of a country. So the area, the hill which are covered in this area, this northern part of a country, would be called as northern mountains. Okay, so northern mountain itself is divided into several segments. It's not that only one segment is here. So it is divided into 3 groups. So these 3 groups are, the first group is the Himalayas, second group is the Trans Himalaya, third group is Purvanchal Hills. So we will be covering all these 3 groups individually and see which all important mountain lies in these areas. So starting with northern mountain. So in northern mountain, what we have to see, or what are the mountains that lies in northern mountain. So the first mountain in the Himalayas that lie is the Great Himalayas. So over here we can see Great Himalayas means the mountain which lie in the northernmost part. It extends from this area till the eastern part of a country. So this entire area is called as Greater Himalayas. There are a few significant mountains in this area or in this range, and the altitude, the average altitude of mountain ranges in this Great Himalayas lies between 6,000 meters. So this is the average height or altitude of the mountains, whereas the highest mountain of the world, that is Mount Everest, whose height is 8,848 kilometers, this also lies in the Greater Himalaya region. Where does this Mount Everest is over here. And there is other mountain, that is Kanchenjunga. This is also very significant mountain because it is the highest mountain range of India. Since Mount Everest does not only lie in India also, but its some part lies in Nepal also, that's why it can't be called as the highest mountain peak of India. But Kilimanjaro mountain, Kanchenjunga mountain, this entirely lies in Indian subcontinent. That's why it is called the highest mountain range of India. And what else we have to see? There are many glaciers. What are glaciers? So we have studied in erosional effect of a glaciers. The glaciers are responsible for producing are the sources of river. So these glaciers descend in the mountain which are present in this Greater Himalayas. So there are several glaciers like the rivers originating like Ganga, Yamuna, all these kind of river originate from this region, this Greater Himalaya region only. Okay, next part that we are going to see in northern mountain is lesser Himalayas. So lesser Himalayas lie parallel to the greater Himalayas. If greater Himalayas are extending from this place and extend till here, so these Himalayas will also be lying in this area only. It won't go anywhere else, but it would be parallel along with the greater Himalayas. So the average height or the altitude is higher than as compared lower as compared to the greater Himalayas. Since they are lesser Himalayas, so their altitude will be lesser as compared to the greater Himalayas. So the average or the altitude of the mountain range between 1000 to 4500 kilometer, and the width means if this is the mountain, so this width of the mountain, the average width would be 30 kilometers in this case. There are several important significant mountain in lesser Himalayas like Pir Pranjal, Dhauladhar, Mahabharat Hill, Shimla. There are several hill stations which are very significant for tourism in our country. So Shimla, Dalhousie in Darjeeling, somewhere here, Mussoorie in Uttarakhand, Nainital in Himachal Pradesh. So these are significant mountains which are very important for our tourism sector. These two lies in the lesser Himalaya segment. The other part which is important over here is the outer Himalaya. So outer Himalaya does not have a very significant role. So the average height or the altitude of the mountain ranges from 900 to 1100 meters. In first case we saw it was 6000 meter, in second case we saw it was 1000 to 4500, but in this case in outer Himalayas the altitude is very less, that is around 900 meters to 1100 meter, and the width is, it ranges from 10 to 50 kilometer. It doesn't it just varies from place to place, that somewhere it would be 10 kilometers, somewhere it could be 50 kilometers. And there are the altitude of mountains are very low, as we have seen over here. So the important mountain of this region is Doon. Dehradun is a very important hill station for tourism sector. So this lies in Uttarakhand, which lies in outer Himalayas. The other segment which is important to be studied under northern Himalaya is the Trans Himalaya. So where does this Trans Himalaya lies? So this Trans Himalaya range lies in this segment of our country. So here Trans Himalayas lies, and here the major mountain which is for significance is Ladakh, and Indus rivers flow from this part only, from the Trans Himalaya range. Last but not the least of the northern part is the Purvanchal hills. So these Purvanchal hills, Purvanchal is a direction in Hindi. In Hindi we have Purab, Pakshim, Uttar, Dakshin. So Purvanchal or the Purab direction is in east. So that means the mountains which lie in the eastern direction are called Purvanchal hills. So in easterns what we have the northeastern states. We have 7 states in our northeastern part. So there are several hills like Garo Kasi, Naga Kashi, Pattoi, Mithoi. So these are several hills which lies in northeastern part, and they are called Purvanchal hills. Let's see what are the important hills. So over here we can see what are the important hills in the Purvanchal hill. It's Mishami, Patkoi, Naga, Mizo, Garo Kashi, Janitia. So these lies in Meghalaya. Meghalaya is one of the 7 states from the northeastern part. So this was all about the northern Himalayas. Now moving to the next significant feature, that is the northern plain. So what do we understand by plain? Plain, by the name itself clear, the land surface which is plain in nature. Plain means smooth landform. In case of mountain, the landform is it has a significant altitude and it is formed in V shape, something like this. So these would be mountains, so the land over here would not be even, but in case of plains the land would be very even. So this is called plain. Now if we talk about this northern plain, so this northern plain lies south to the Himalayas. Where are the Himalayas located? Himalayas are located to the northernmost part of the country. Northernmost part of the country, all Himalayas are located, and this northern plain, here is northern plain, it lies south to this northern plain and north to the Deccan Plateau or the plateaus. So our plateaus lies within this below this northern plains. So if plateaus are here, Himalayas are here, we can see the direction. To the south of these northern Himalayas, northern plain lies, and to the north of these plateaus are northern plains lies. So this is what location of our northern plain. So what are other things that we need to study over here? Let's see. So if we talk about the range, just a minute, let's go back to the map over here. So in map we can see this northern plain. The extension of this northern plain starts from Punjab and it extends up to Assam. So this is the width, or you can say the states in which this lies. It starts from Punjab and ends in Assam, and the other states in which this northern plain lies are Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Assam. So these are the states in which this northern plain lies, and these are formed. How are these northern plain formed? Any plain is formed by sedimentation or erosional effects. So many rivers flow these plains, like rivers Indus River, Ganga, Brahmaputra. So these rivers flow these northern plain, and they deposit alluvial sediments on these plain. Because of this deposition of sediments, this landform is plain, and they are very fertile. They are used for growing crops like wheat, rice, sugarcane, pulses, oil seeds. So these are very fertile and used for growing these things. And we talk about the extension. So the distance from this Punjab, just a minute, let me delete this so it becomes more clear. So the distance from Punjab till the Assam, it varies to 2400 kilometers. Okay, and the extension, and this in this way we see. So in the Assam side it is 150 kilometers in width, and in case of Punjab side it varies from 300 kilometers. So it varies in width from 150 to 300 kilometers, whereas the length of this northern plain region is 2400 kilometers from Punjab to Assam. Again, this northern plain is divided into two sub parts. The first part is western plain, and the other part is Ganga Brahmaputra plain. So how this western plain is formed? Now again, by the name it's clear, this western plain would be in the western side of a country. So in western part of the country we can see there are several rivers in northern side, like Indus River, and in Indus River we have Satluj, Beas and Ravi. These rivers flow, and when they flow from certain area, the plains formed by these rivers are called as western northern plain. Now coming to the second plain, that is called Ganga Brahmaputra plain. So the river or the plain which are formed by the Ganga and Brahmaputra river are called as Ganga Brahmaputra plain. So there are the significant point about this plain is that the riverside civilization, which we know as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, these civilization settle in these plains. Why they settle in these plains? Because Ganga and Brahmaputra plain were very fertile in nature, and agriculture, production of crops was very easy in this area. That's why the civilization like Ganga and Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were formed in this area. So this is all about the northern plain. Next physiography that we are going to study in this video is the peninsular plateau. So this peninsular plateau, what is this peninsular plateau? So if you see on the map over here, just a minute, this pen is not working here. So what's the shape of this plateau? If you draw a shape of this plateau, it would be triangular in shape. Okay, so that's why it is called the triangular shaped land part of India. And this plateau is part of the Gondwana land. What is Gondwana land? If you remember, in geomorphology we have seen during the formation of the continents there was only one huge continent and one water body, and this was called Pangaea and this was called Paranthalassa. Later on this splitted and a river by a sea called Tethys Sea, and it was divided into two parts, Gondwana land and Angara land or Eurasia. So this plateau is part of those ancient continents. Okay, and if we talk about the extension of this plateau, so it's extend in the states of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Bihar, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. You can see over here itself also, you can see on the map also where these are extending. So you can see these are passing through Gujarat over here in west, Bihar at somewhere over here, Karnataka in south, Andhra Pradesh also in south, and there are several, all these states are covered in this peninsular plateau. And there is the river Narmada. River Narmada divides this plateau into two parts. One is the central highland, and the other part which is divided by this Narmada would be called as Deccan Plateau. So these both have their own significance. Like the very important plateaus which are present in central highland are Malwa Plateau, Chota Nagpur Plateau, which is very significant. This Narmada river goes like this. So Chota Nagpur is a very significant plateau in central highland. And if you see the Deccan Plateau, in Deccan Plateau again it is divided in two parts. Before coming to this, there are certain more points which we need to study over here. So in the central highland there is an Aravalli range over here. You can see this is also a very significant mountain range in our country, and It passes from Gujarat, Rajasthan and Delhi. In Delhi also you can see these Aravalli ranges. And coming to the Deccan Plateau is divided into two parts. One is Western Ghat, the other is the Eastern Ghat. So again, Western Ghat means the area or the coast which lies in the western side would be called as Western Ghat, and the area or the land which lies in the eastern side would be called as Eastern Ghat. So what is the significance of Western Ghat? So in Western Ghat, the length is 1600 kilometers. So this length from here, from this part is 1600 kilometers, whereas in east the distance is lesser as compared to the Eastern Ghat, and the width of the coast over here is around 1000 meters, that is 1 kilometer, and over here it is around 600 meters only. And there are several mountain ranges which are present in this range. What are those mountain ranges? The mountain ranges which are present in this Deccan Plateau or Western Ghat are Dota Beta, Anaimudi, and Anaimudi is the highest mountain in Western Ghat range. And in case of Eastern Ghat, there are valleys, Mahanadi, Nilgiri hills, and Mahendragiri is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghat region. Okay, so these are the Deccan Plateau, and Deccan Plateau is very important for its cotton growth. Cotton can be easily grown in this Deccan Plateau. This Deccan Plateau, cotton is easily grown because of the black soil, and these black soil are caused because of this volcanic eruption. What is volcanic eruption is very clear, we don't need to repeat this again and again. So because of this volcanic eruption, the magma which comes out, we know the rocks which are formed by volcanic eruption are igneous rock, and these igneous rocks are dark in color, and when they further sediments or exfoliate or weathering because of many outer sources, external sources, when they convert into soil, so these soils are generally in black in color, and in these black colors only specific crops can be grown, and those specific crops are cotton. Cotton is the most specific crop that can be grown in black soil. So this is all about the Deccan Plateau and the Central Highland Plateau. Moving to the next point, the Western Ghat and the Eastern Ghat we have already seen. The Indian desert. So in India, everyone knows where is the desert. So desert is there in Rajasthan. You can see over here. Rajasthan is the place where we have the desert, and this desert lies west to the Aravalli range. We have studied Aravalli range. Aravalli range starts from Gujarat, moves from Rajasthan and ends in Delhi. So it lies in the western part of the of this Aravalli range. And why this is desert? Because these Aravalli ranges, they just do not allow the monsoon carrying winds. All the monsoon carrying winds sheds on this side of the hills. That's why the Thar or the Rajasthan has the greatest Indian desert in the country. And if it is desert, it is very clear the vegetation covered would be very low, because plants cannot grow in desert area, and the vegetation which is mostly present in this area are the thorny bushes. We know why these are grown in these desert, because they require very less amount of water. And the rainfall, we talk about the rainfall which is received in Rajasthan is less than 150 millimeter of rainfall annually. It doesn't receive more than 150 millimeter of rainfall annually. And everywhere we have sand in desert. This everyone knows, so we're not going deep into that. So this is all about the Indian desert. What else we have to cover? And yes, and one more significant point that you need to know over here is a factual point, that Thar desert or Indian desert is the 9th largest desert of the world. This is the 9th largest desert of the world, which is present in Rajasthan. Okay, so this is the desert. Now next topic that we are going to study is the coastal plain. So what are the coastal plains? So the plain which lies in the coastal area would be called as coastal plain. What are the coasts present in our country? So we know the coast of a country starts, or you can just measure the coast of a country which starts from the Bay of Bengal in this area. It goes along with the states like Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Gujarat. So this is the entire area or the coastal area of a country, and so we can say that it lies in the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Bay of Bengal is this ocean in the eastern part of a country. In western part we have Arabian Sea, and these coastal plain are divided into certain fragments. So in the western part, we have Konkan coast, Karnataka coast and Malabar coast. So Konkan coast lies from Mumbai to Goa. Where is Mumbai? Mumbai is somewhere here. it lies till Goa. So this would be called as Konkan coast. And from this Goa to Mangalore, this coast would be called as Karnataka or Kannur coast. And at last we have Malabar coast. Malabar coast moves from Mangalore to Kanyakumari. Kanyakumari is the lowest part of the country, not the lowest part of a country, but on the continent you can say it is the lowest part. As we have seen, the lowest part is the Indira port, which is there in Andaman and Nicobar. Similarly, in eastern coast, it is there in Bay of Bengal, not in Bay of Bengal, but it lies next to Bay of Bengal, and the coast or the plain which lies in the eastern side are wider as compared to the western coast. That means the plain, whatever lies in the eastern side, would be wider as compared to the western Ghat, and width is around 120 kilometers, whereas the width in this case was around 10 to 20 kilometers. So it's quite higher or quite larger than compared to the western part or western Ghats or western coast plain. And significant part in this eastern coast is that lots of deltas are formed. We have studied about the delta that many rivers drain in Bay of Bengal, like Ganga, Brahmaputra, and many more important rivers which drain in Bay of Bengal, and because of that they forms delta, and delta are very rich in resources. We have seen there is a Sundarban delta in the eastern part of country that is of very significant, and it is the biggest delta of the world, which is there in Sundarban, that is in Eastern Ghat. It lies in Eastern Ghat itself. And these Ghats, the Eastern Ghat and Western Ghats, are very important in terms of biodiversity, because a huge variety of biodiversity lives in these areas, even in Western Ghats and as well as in Eastern Ghat. And Eastern Ghats are very good resources of growing few kinds of plants like spices. Spices are grown in this area of Eastern Ghat. Pepper, coconut, rice, these kind of plants are grown in the eastern zone or Eastern Ghat plain of our country. So this is all about the coastal plain. I hope this is understood. Last topic that we are going to study today is the islands. So we have two groups of island. It's not actually a single island which is there in a country. This is a group of islands. So there are two groups of island which lies and which are part of a country. Those are Andaman and Nicobar Island, which lies in the eastern part in Bay of Bengal, and other is Lakshadweep Island, which lies in the western part in Arabian Sea. So Andaman and Nicobar, it consists of 204 islands. So huge number of islands are there in Andaman and Nicobar, whereas this Lakshadweep consists only of 43 islands. It's very less in number. Okay. And what are important to see over here? So this Lakshadweep Island lies near to the Malabar coast. We have seen three coasts in western side. Malabar. So this Lakshadweep lies near the Malabar coast, and the formation of this Lakshadweep Island is due to the coral formation. So if you know what are these corals, so corals are nothing but few organisms are present in ocean water. There are few organisms which are present in ocean water. They extract calcium carbonate from water, and they form with the help of skeleton, they form a huge area which is living in nature. Although they can't make their own food, they depend upon algae, and algae take shelter in these coral, and these algae provide nutrition to these corals. So you can see over here, so this Lakshadweep Islands were formed due to the coral effects. All coral leaves were extracted or formed over these on islands, and hence this island was formed. Andaman Nicobar Island, we have heard much about it. This has its huge variety, huge kind of tribal people lives over here in Andaman Nicobar, and some part of the Andaman and Nicobar are even banned. No one can visit in those areas, so that the culture of those tribals could be prevented in those areas. So this was all about the islands which are present in our country. So I hope it is clear. Let's see if anything is remaining in this video. So we have discussed about the coastal plains, we have discussed about the desert, we have also discussed the plateaus. We have seen two important plateaus are there, Deccan Plateau and the Higher Plateau, Highest Hinterland Plateau. Another important factors which we have discussed are the northern plains and the northern mountains. So quickly let's see what we have seen in today's video. In today's video we have seen few facts. Yes, I forgot to tell you a few facts, like what are the countries which are sharing the land boundaries with India. So on the map, if you see map, if you remember the map, you can easily know in the northeastern part, India shares its boundary with Nepal, China and Bhutan. See, you can see these countries. Bhutan is a very small country which sometimes is not visible if you don't see the map clearly. And in the western part, in the western side, it shares boundary with Pakistan and Afghanistan. And over here Bangladesh is also a country. So these are the countries with which India shares land body, or you can say they are the neighboring country of India. So this is all about today's video. I hope you have understood the terms. If you have any issues in this video, you can always ask in the comment box. Most hopefully I'll try to answer all your queries in next video. Thank you for watching. See you in next video. Till then, goodbye.